So this Cape Coast place, this is one of the most famous places in Ghana. Like, this is a huge attraction. You got people from Barack Obama coming here. You got all kinds of people coming to this specific place, okay? So this is a fire historical space, so definitely be conscious of this moment, and you are that return, okay?
Yes.
So,
Bless.
This was actually created by the British. Also, the other dungeon, Elmina, was originally created by the Portuguese, and then the British actually went ahead and ransacked it, and then they started running it as well. It's right. So, yeah, so this is a very historical place. If you come into Cape Coast, you cannot leave this place without going through it. So my intention is definitely Africa for the Africans, you know. I first came into the continent, I was like 19, and it was by way of just going to Google. I went to Google, just something came to me. I was unconscious, I was raised in a normal Christian home, none of my family conscious. Africa what? Africa who? Right? I get in my college dorm, I just had this thought, who was the first human being in creation? Who walked this earth that we walk on right now? And when I did all this research, miseducation, and that's how you see me here, because I'm like, hold up, if I found that, I found a little gold, maybe if I dig a little deeper, it might be even more. I kept digging, and it's more and more and more. And now you see me right here at the top. I'm not considered, I'm at the top on the continent. Right? Because if you really care about black power and you care about this flesh, the future of this flesh, you can't leave Africa out of that conversation.
It's a slave castle. It's not a royal castle. And where we are right now is the male slave dungeon. And the male slave dungeon comprises of 5 cells. We are in the first cell. My name again is Wade Tony, and I'm the top of it. We are in the first cell. In each one of them, 200 men. But what we are about doing today is called the journey of return. The journey of return is the reserved ceremony for the global Africans in the diaspora who come here to reconnect with their ancestors. But there's a difference between, many Europeans claim that Africans don't worship their ancestors. We don't worship our ancestors, but we do respect them. We do honor them the way we honor and respect our parents. That's the difference. So we are going to light candles here in the dungeon in order to honor them. It is part of the talk in the process. You do the talk. But before we start the talk, we do honor the ancestors in the dungeon. That's the first step, which is very important. We light the candles, you pray before we start. Now I'm going to put the light out. You touch the walls with your right hand. With your right hand. Then I'm going to put the light out. You take the time, you meditate, you pray. You put every energy, any negative energy. Then after that, you are going to light the candles and put the candles in the first corners. With some respect. Then right after that, we begin to. So let's not right here, let's touch the walls. You do that with your right hand. You will release yourselves. If you have intent to talk with your ancestors, you can do it here before we start talking. So you can't do this. Alright, so today we are here. One of the reasons why we are here is to honor the ancestors, to show some respect. To be honest with you, there has been millions of African men in the Middle East. You can see them when you come here. You can hear them, but you can see us and hear us. So what we are doing today is called the Journey of Return. And I made mention of the fact that the Journey of Return is a reserved ceremony for the global African diaspora who come here to reconnect with their ancestors, heritage, heritages. I got you.
Since you're having us put these in the corners, I want to direct my brothers and sisters to the corners of the dungeon.
Okay.
This is where the men peed and shit. You can still see how it's the coloring, that this was the toilet, this was their bathroom, right where we're putting these lights, where we're putting these candles, right? How right here, it's discolored. This was their toilet.
The only source of light in prayer for 200 African men in this cell with these 3 holes out there. There was a massive influx of mosquitoes in the dungeon. There was a wide spread of diseases such as yellow fever, diarrhea, cancer. Many African men died in the middle dungeon. They were here for 3 weeks. Now there are 3 slave councils in Ghana. These slave councils are held 3 slave councils.
In this region?
No, Ghana.
That's
In West Africa, actually. But the 3 slave councils are located in Ghana. Because Ghana was the whole coast of West Africa, majority of the Europeans prefer Ghana. There is one in Accra, this one, and Elmina. They are Elmina Castle, Osu Castle, and Capecoast Castle.
So what about Zimbabwe, Fort Prison, Fort Amsterdam?
They are all forts. They are all forts. They are not slave castles.
Okay.
There's a difference between a fort and a slave castle.
Okay.
Mostly, forts are built as defensive devices to protect the slave castles. But the slave castles are the holding post, where they hold the slaves and merchandise. But there's a fort we call Amsterdam. Did you come from Accra, on a hill?
Yes.
Yeah, we call that fort Amsterdam, Fort Amsterdam. That, though it's a fort, but it was also a holding post. They kept the slaves there.
Right.
And when you go out there, I'll show you 2 forts. Cape Coast Slave Castle has got 2 forts. Fort William and Fort Victoria. These 2 forts were built as watch posts in order to protect Cape Coast Slave Castle.
Okay.
Because the French, the Portuguese, the Swedish wanted to take over this slave castle. These are British castles. So because of that, they built 2 forts in order to supervise all the activities that were going around the slave castle. But Elmina is the oldest castle. That's a Portuguese castle. The Portuguese that built Elmina Castle built it in 1482. Elmina Castle is currently 540 years old. Osu Castle is located in Accra. It is also known as the Christian Castle. It was built in 1661. And this is Cape Coast Slave Castle. Cape Coast Slave Castle was built by the English slavers. I don't call them slave masters, I call them slavers. And I don't call what happened here a trade. There was no trade. There was massacre, genocide, manipulation, and transportation of African people to the Americas. Now, the reason why I do that is because the history has been watered down. They don't tell us what they did unto our people.
Yes.
They tell us what they feel like telling us. So I personally call what happened nearly 500 years ago transatlantic slave massacre, transatlantic slave genocide, transatlantic slave manipulation, transatlantic slave transportation of the African people. And before the Europeans arrived, our sisters were practicing what you call domestic servitude. There's a difference between domestic servitude and slavery. Our people were not keeping their brothers and sisters in dungeons. Neither were they taking them outside the continent. But when the Europeans arrived, they capitalized on the system and supplied into the continent 2 destructive weapons, which are gun and gunpowder. That is what fulfilled the tribal wars in West Africa. There's a new coming. Okay, let's go right there. We have a long way to go. We have a lot to see.
So this is the original floor. You know, the bricks is the original floor of the mill dungeon. This is how the mill slave dungeon looks like. When this slave castle was built in the year 1665, the original floor of the mill dungeon were all bricks from the first cell to the last cell. So that means that we were supposed to be standing on bricks, we were supposed to be seeing bricks all over. But due to the fact that there has been millions of African men in the mill dungeon, this is where they were eating, defecating, many of them bleeding here, many of them died, millions died here. So that decomposition of human waste and the kind of food that they were eating eventually formed this darkened floor and covered all the bricks. Basically, this dark floor is the evidence of the presence of millions of African men in the mill slave dungeon. This darkened floor contains traces of human waste and food remains. Listen. Now, right, this is the last cell, but there's a small cell right also. Now, due to the fact that the African men in the mill dungeon got very sick and very weak, the English slavers designed a very small cell like that, very small cell. So all the African men who got weak, sick, were left to die in that small cell. And after they died, the English slavers would take their bodies and trash them in the ocean. Now, before what you are standing lies what you call the African traditional spirituality. This is part of what you call the African traditional spirituality. There's a difference between spirituality and religion. You know, there's a difference. Religion is a man-made thing. You can corrupt it. You can corrupt spirituality. This is what our ancestors were practicing before the Europeans introduced Christianity into West Africa. But there are 77 of them. These are all. Amongst the 77, this very altar is the leader. The name of the altar is Nanantara, but the altar was established in the mill dungeon after the origin of the transatlantic. But there was a big tunnel here, very huge tunnel. The tunnel is where all the 1,000 men in the mill dungeon were urged to walk through to the door we call the door of return. Now we call that door the door of return because that was the final exit of all the Africans in the mill dungeon. Once the Africans walked through the door of return, there was no place of return. They never came back. But this time, was in the year 1834 to officially mark the abortion of the transatlantic slave. There has never been an abortion. Europeans realized that it took a lot from the African people, so they moved on to what you call colonialism. And colonialism is another form of imperialism, which is still going on economically. Now, this is one of the original chains. Yeah. One of the original slave chains. Okay, any questions, please? I don't want that to happen, but just have a look forward. The schools, they are part of the shrine system. One of the reasons why the Obamas were here was because his wife, Michelle Obama, believed that her ancestors were true Cape Coast. So they came here in order to show their respect to the millions of our ancestors who died in the dungeons. Any questions, please? Yes?
So, why are you still here now?
The tunnel. Yeah, I'll show you the tunnel. Because the tunnel got blocked off, that is why you can see it. It got blocked off in the year 1834 to mark the abolishment. And I made mention of the fact that the abolishment, there has never been an abolishment. It was a transformation. The Europeans moved on to what we call colonialism, which is another form of imperialism. It's still going on to this very day. I'll take it. I'll take it to the end part of the tunnel and to the middle part of the tunnel. You see the tunnel. The tunnel is even bigger than the male slave dungeon. Very big. Now, one of the reasons why the English slaves never allowed the African men in the male dungeon through the courtyard to the door of no return, which they could have, was because they were very afraid of them. And imagine 1,000 African men on a courtyard, and about 15 of them got unshackled. That was risky. They could easily take over the castle. So they would chain them in the male dungeon and urge them through the tunnel system, through the door of no return.
So they came in through the back way.
Yeah, I'll show you the other side of the tunnel. It's closer to the door of no return.
You said this was what? The
tunnel.
opening?
There was a tunnel. The opening was here. And this altar was established after the abolishment. But there was an opening right here, which is the tunnel. Yes.
When they pick up the mass used from
Through the tunnel, directly, through the tunnel to the door of no return, without letting them walk through the courtyard. The reason was because the slavers were afraid of them. Imagine 1,000 men on the courtyard, and about 20 of them got unshackled. They could fight back.
Right.
So in order for the slavers to minimize the risks involved in controlling the African men, they would chain them in a male dungeon and force them through the tunnel to the door we call the door of no return. And that door was the final exit of all the Africans. The door of no return was at a point where a new journey emerged to the Americas, and an end of an experience was totally disconnected from them. We really do appreciate when you come, when the Africans in the diaspora come here. There's been so many misconceptions. And as a people, black people love black people. As a people, you have to work very hard. You have to be committed to the work of all black people, black education, black community, black business, black
Family,
family. Yeah, we have to
unity,
come
black
together.
love.
Nobody can do that for us except black people.
You said, Ronnie, you can't learn self from nobody else.
Yeah. Exactly. But we are not done yet. I'm going to take you to the places. There's one place I personally call the grave of the castle. We call that the male punishment cell.
Oh,
But
yes.
I personally call that cell the grave of the castle. It is not a cell, it's a grave. You will know it when you get it. Please come with me. Let's go.